What's up, everybody? This is the Sports League Podcast, back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got a special guest on this week, and we can't wait for you guys to see this episode. Christian Okoye, the Chiefs Hall of Fame running back. Christian, great to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's a great time to have you on with the Chiefs, in the playoffs, trying to get a three-peat. You got the co-host, Amanda. Amanda, great guest to have this time of year, huh?
Oh, it's perfect. I mean, we're coming down to the final four of the NFL season. Like, it's such a great time. We've got two great games coming up this weekend. I am really excited to get your take on some of these things coming up this weekend, Christian.
Sure.
So for those of you that don't know, Christian Okoye, nicknamed the Nigerian Nightmare, played with the Kansas City Chiefs from 1987 to 1993. He led the NFL in rushing in 1989, was first team All-Pro in 89 and a two-time Pro Bowler, AFC Offensive Player of the Year, and he retired as the Chiefs' all-time leading rusher. Uh, Christian, what was it like back in those days with the Chiefs, playing in the NFL? Because you started late. You didn't start playing football till you were 23, huh?
Yeah, I started out late. I was a track and field guy. Of course, I grew up in Nigeria. I didn't know what football was.
Mm-hmm.
When I first saw football, I didn't like it. And my friends took me to a football game at Azusa Pacific where we were going to school. And I just didn't like it. I thought he was talking about soccer because we call soccer.
Yeah.
So I didn't like it. I never watched it until I started playing my junior year in college.
I
That's
love that
crazy.
that different perspective for you. Like, we've seen some cool stories. Jake Bates, the kicker, he was a brick salesman in Houston before he got back into the NFL. I mean, he was kicking for a UFL game and had sunk three 60-yard field goals, and the GM for the Lions was like, "Okay, let's bring him in." I
Mhm.
would love to get your perspective. Like, what would your advice be to these players who have kind of tried at the NFL and they don't think it's going to work out to them? Like, what advice would you give them for someone who came into the league later?
Well, I would say, just give it all. If you want to make it, just work extremely hard. That's what I did when I was playing. I was advised to work hard. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Football is not for everybody.
Mhm.
But if that's what you want to do, you have to work extremely hard. Make sure you do everything that you can do to make it, so that in the long run, when you look back, you wouldn't tell yourself, "Man, I should have worked hard." Um, you will tell yourself, "Hey, I did everything I could. It wasn't for me, so I'm doing this now." So hard work is everything, and I believe in it.
Yeah, that's great advice. And do you, as a former running back, do you enjoy to see? Because we went through a little bit of a down phase there where they didn't want to pay running backs and they were getting, shipped to different teams. And this year we've seen a big, reinvigoration of the running back. Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. Do you like seeing these running backs dominating and playing well?
Yeah, I like to see running backs do well. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick
Mhm.
Henry, Saquon Barkley, all these guys. I love watching them. I love seeing them have success. I mean, we're coming back to a running game. We kind of left the running game behind for a few years there, but we're coming back to it, knowing how important running game is to the team. I often said to people when New England was winning, they ran the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They ran the ball. Brady was great, but if you look at his number, he didn't have great numbers. He was
Yeah.
just a captain on the team, and he commanded the team very well. But they ran the ball. Another reason why I didn't know they were running the ball is because you can't tell a name of any running back that played with Tom Brady. And
Yeah.
but they ran the ball. They ran it very well, effectively, which helped him. Now they're coming back to a running game, which I'm very, very happy about. But as far as compensation is not quite there yet because you see these wide receivers making $35 million a year, and the
Yeah.
highest paid running back is making about what, close to 18 or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's, I think it's Christian McCaffrey making that number. But they need to be making about 25 to 30. They are more important than these receivers getting this money. And sometimes in games, these receivers touch the ball once or twice, or maybe five times, five catches, and it's making $30 million a year. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? Running
Yeah.
backs, we touch the ball a lot. We're involved in the game a lot, and we're not
Yeah,
getting
Alex and
paid much.
I have had the conversation. So Detroit won their first postseason game in 3 decades last year, but they relied so heavily on that 1-2 punch of Montgomery and Gibbs. And Alex and I have been kind of calling this year like the running back renaissance because I mean we have two running backs who have been in the MVP conversation this year.
Yeah.
Um, and it's time. I mean, there's no way the Ravens, the Bills, like there none of these teams would still be in the postseason without leaning so heavily on their running backs. And we absolutely agree that running backs have been overlooked and underpaid for years.
Yeah.
Um, so it's time. I mean, I can't believe it's gone on this long. If you look at the stats and how many touches they're getting, like it's ridiculous.
Yes, yes, and if you're talking about the Chiefs kind of left the running game here, but we're coming back to it. We have two great running backs uh,
Hmm.
that's going, 1-2 punches, and I, I mean, I love it. I love it. I love to watch running backs perform, and I like to see them get paid what they deserve too.
Do you see a bit of yourself in Derrick Henry, like a bigger running back that can run you over, but also outrun you as well? Like that's a great combination.
Yes, it's a great combination, but not. I don't want to take anything away from Henry, but when we played, it's like a gladiator sport. So I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
everything went. And today, teams don't practice tackling that
Yes.
much anymore, and you can tell by watching the games, and you can see how they're tackling. So Derrick Henry is benefiting from that. And
Hmm.
more to him, I give him, every kudos. But the game is just different right now.
I
Yeah, I
agree.
mean, you played for some big names back in the 90s. I mean, Marty Schottenheimer, running back coach was Bruce Arian. Like, these are some names that everyone knows. How would you say, like, comparing how the game is now with the emphasis on player safety and stuff? Like, I love watching like the compilation videos of the NFL hardest hits, like back in the physical era. I grew up a Packers fan in the 90s. Like, how do you feel about watching games now when it's so much more gentle versus how it was when you played?
Yeah.
Growing up in Nigeria and not being a big football fan, I will tell you that I love the safety, they are looking into these days and how the game is played now. I really love it. I wish I'm playing today, for
Hmm.
two reasons. One's because it's safer, and secondly, because they're paying a lot of money, and I want some of that.
Yeah.
You know? But the safety part of it, yes, I totally support that because when I was playing, man, I tell you, oof, players are going out trying to hurt each other, and I didn't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a different era for sure. Um, so do you still follow the Chiefs? Are you rooting for the Chiefs to get that three-peat? That'd be the first time ever.
Of course, the Chiefs is the only team I played for, so I
Yeah.
bleed red when it comes. So I love the Chiefs. I follow the Chiefs. I support the Chiefs, and the three Super Bowls that they've won in the recent years. I mean,
Hmm.
they give me a ring, so I have three rings now. I wouldn't mind having the fourth one coming up this year.
Like, I'll take it. I still have fingers open.
That's right.
I love that. I mean, it's crazy that they're on to their seventh straight AFC championship game. Like
Yeah.
that's unheard of. That's so like good for them.
I tell you, yeah, we have great players, great organization. The owners, the Hunt family is just incredible. And of course, look at Andy Reid, the
Yeah.
best coach that you ever. And I mean, I love that guy, the way he, handles the players, and the players love playing for him. A great communicator, So I just love the Chiefs.
Yeah, Andy
Yeah.
Reid is really like funny. He's got a lot of personality.
Yeah.
Alex and I are actually going to the combine at the end of next month, and we've got kind of a list going of coaches and people we want to bump into. But it would be hilarious to bump into Reed and have a conversation with him in person. When you went through the combine and draft process, I mean, you came into the NFL late. It wasn't like your lifelong goal or dream. I mean, you said you didn't even like football when you found it boring, right? But do you have any funny or interesting moments from the combine and draft process, like anything that sticks out?
The only thing for me when I went to combine, I had played in the Senior Bowl, and I sprained my ankle real bad. So when I went to combine, I did not run the 40 yards. I
Okay.
just lifted and I did a few other things, but I didn't run the 40. And I wish I had the opportunity to run the 40 back then because I was fast and I was doing pretty good. But no funny stories there. The only funny stories I will tell you is that I was just there because they invited me, so I was doing whatever they told me. I didn't know how things worked. Going to combine was not my goal. Going to the NFL was never my goal. It just happened to be one of those things that happened to me from working hard. That's all.
What was your fastest 40? Because I saw you ran like a 4.3. Did you get any faster than that? You were so fast for your size.
Yeah, I ran 4.3, but that wasn't official. My
Yeah.
official time is 4.44.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. Um, so did you enjoy the Chiefs Texans game, and are you looking forward to Chiefs Bills? Chiefs Bills is always a great matchup. I can't wait for that.
Well, of course, I'm looking forward to the AFC Championship, and I enjoyed. I was there watching the Chiefs Texans, and
Nice.
it was a great game. It was kind of slow in the first half, but second half was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
during that game, there's been a lot of talk online. There were a couple penalties against Patrick Mahomes, against the defensive players going after him that, I mean, the internet is in an uproar about it. There were two defenders who hit their helmets together over the top of him. People are talking about that a lot. How do you feel about the NFL rules protecting quarterbacks who are runners? Because as a running back, the stuff that defenders can do to a running back when he's running
Yeah.
the ball versus you can't breathe on a quarterback when he has the ball as a runner. How do you
That's
feel those rules should change? Because Alex and I are losing it over, and it's like some games, like the Bills game, there were no like players were throwing hands, like fighting each other with their fists on the field, no flags. But Patrick Mahomes gets gently rushed as a runner. How do you think those rules should adjust to make it more fair for running backs running versus quarterbacks running with the ball?
Well, I don't think the rules can be adjusted. I mean, the one thing is that the rules changed, but the players did not change. It's taken them a long time to change.
Yeah.
And one thing is that when you go above the shoulders of a quarterback, they're going to penalize you. So
Mm-hmm.
don't do that.
Yeah.
Anytime you go and do that, you will be penalized. And they're penalizing players because they won't stop. Talking about penalties, I saw one play when Mahomes was just running off the field, and there were two DBs, two Texans DBs. The closer one slowed down to let Patrick run off the field, run out of bounds. And the second one that was running further away came in and pushed him, and he was penalized. And
Yeah.
I support that. And many people are saying, hey, that's wrong. You shouldn't penalize him because, it was already going out. If you know that he was going out already, let him go out
Yeah.
because your teammate is standing there making sure he doesn't run up the field. You
Mhm.
see?
But Patrick
So,
Mahomes is sneaky, though. He'll run along the sidelines and tiptoe and make it look like he's going out
Well,
of bounds and get 10
some
more yards.
well,
yeah, it's
you have to
tough.
do everything you can to stop him doing that. And
Yeah.
this one player that I'm describing to you, that one DB that didn't touch him was standing in front of him.
He
You
was
see?
there.
So
He
there's
had
no
the stop
way.
already.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so Mahomes was just going out of bounds, and this other guy came in and pushed him and shoved him. So he
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
penalized. You see? So many people
Yeah.
are upset about that, but it was penalty.
It's tough because you've got a balance of defenders doing stupid stuff like late hits,
Yeah.
and then you've got stuff where like Kenny Pickett in college, with the fake slide and then keeps running for a touchdown. So you've got a balance of that. It's a tough, you
Well,
know.
you know, he used the rules whichever way it works for you.
Yeah,
If you fake it, it's not against the rules. You
yeah,
know,
I just
just
yeah,
want
make sure that it's not going to fake you out.
Yeah,
Be
I
yeah,
there to
just
make
want all
sure he
games
slides
called the
and goes
same
down.
way because it
yeah,
feels
Huh?
like some quarterbacks are more protected than others. Like Josh Allen 6'5", we'll let him get hit in the face or neck and not throw a flag. Like Jared Goff got a helmet straight to his face mask and there was no penalty. Granted, he had thrown a pick six and he involved himself in the play again to make a block. So it's not a roughing the passer because he's, no longer the passer in this situation. But a helmet to the head or neck area is still a penalty and they didn't throw
Yes.
anything. I
yeah,
just want all games called exactly the same way and don't penalize something in one game and then let it slide for 4 quarters in the other games. Like
Well,
that's
yeah.
what
It's
makes me
tough.
crazy.
well,
Yeah.
one thing I have to say about that, I was talking to Eric Dickerson, a good friend of mine, this
Nice.
morning, and we're kind of going back and forth about that. The thing is that referees are humans. You know,
Yeah,
if you're watching the TV, if you're watching TV and watching the game on TV, you see everything because there's so many camera angles. The
yep,
referees don't have that. You
yeah,
see, unless the other team challenges a penalty, they challenge it, then they go and look at it and they can reverse it. But he can't sit there and complain without challenging it. You see,
yeah,
if you're sitting at home, you see the game from all angles. So
Mhm.
referees right there on the field, they are human beings. They can
yeah,
miss calls. And when they
But the
miss
issue is you
calls,
can't challenge a penalty that didn't happen. You can't
yeah.
challenge them not throwing a penalty.
well,
It,
if they don't throw a flag, you have to complain to the refs about it. Say, hey, this is what
yeah,
happened. You see, and it happens. Coaches bring that to referees, and they watch out for it. You
yeah,
see, it's
yeah,
been that's been going on from since I've known football. I've seen
yeah,
coaches complain to referees, "Hey, watch out for this. You missed this one. You missed it 3 times now. You have
yeah.
to watch out for this." And then they start watching out for it.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, that's the thing about it is we like the human element of it, and so it's never going to be a perfect game, and that we just hope they get it as close to right as possible. Um, yeah, Bills Chiefs is going to be great this weekend. One thing about the Bills Ravens game, and I'm curious your thoughts on this, Christian, because in your playoff game, you played against the Dolphins in 1990 and you were a great running back, and they only gave you the ball 13 times for 83 yards. I would have liked to have seen them give you the ball 20, 25, 30 times in that game to beat Dan Marino. Same thing with Derrick Henry in the Ravens game. They only gave it to him 16 times for 84 yards. He's capable of going for 200. You got to feed Derrick Henry. Do you feel like in big playoff games, sometimes for whatever reason, they don't give the ball to the running back enough?
Well, of course, I agree. Talking about Ravens, they beat themselves every year in the
Yeah,
playoffs. If you
yeah.
watch their games, they beat themselves. They are their own enemy. Every time they
Mhm.
play the playoffs, turn the ball over the way they turn the ball over. I'm not utilizing their best players. I mean, those things right there will lose them games, and it's losing them games. You
Yeah,
see, sometimes coaches have this number of plays that they want to go through and trick or the other play. No, no, no. You have to run the ball. You have to stay with the players that you signed to do
yeah,
their job. Trust
yeah,
them to
Doing
do their
what
job.
works.
yeah.
Yeah,
Last year, we saw the Ravens step away from the ground game in the postseason and it got them knocked out.
They did it again.
Last week in week one, I gave them props for, staying with the ground game. They continued what
Yeah,
they did in the regular season to win games, but then they win one postseason game and then revert to what they did last year and just step away from it. I don't
yeah.
understand. If you have a quarterback who can run, who's in the MVP conversation, a running back who puts up insane numbers, who's also in the MVP conversation, why are you stepping away from the run? Like, and I know
no
this
Zay
game,
Flowers as well. Yeah.
yeah, this game was cold and icy. Do you think the weather played into that a little bit?
No, because the weather affected both teams.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
nobody can say the last throw that Jackson threw to the tight end and he dropped. I can't remember his name, but
Mark
he
Yeah.
dropped
Andrews.
it. I
Yeah.
mean, people will say, "Hey, how can you drop that?" Yeah, the weather is bad and the ball is just hard and slippery. You
Yeah.
know, that's why you have to make sure that you catch the ball. So the weather affected both sides. We
Yeah.
cannot call the weather into this at all.
Yeah.
Well, I just mean the game plan, like where they're like, oh, it's going to be hard on the slippery ground. Maybe we'll throw it more. I'm not saying that like that's why they lost because of the weather, but maybe they adjusted
Yeah.
the game plan because of the weather. I'm
Whatever they
just,
did,
Well,
it was
did,
stupid.
did you
Yeah.
watch
yeah, it didn't
did you,
work,
if you
whatever the
watch the
plan was.
Eagles, if you watch the Eagles, they ran the ball.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You know,
exactly.
so and
Exactly.
the weather wasn't that great, but they ran the
Mhm.
ball and they were
Yeah.
very successful at it. If they didn't run the ball, I don't think they would have won.
Exactly. Yeah.
See?
Great point.
So we got two snowy games this weekend. I am obsessed with snow games. They're my absolute favorite. I don't even care who's playing. Like, give me two, three-win teams playing in the snow, and I'm in love. Like, I will sit there and watch riveted. Do you have any like good stories from like those cold snow games? Did you play any good games like that?
Oh yeah, I was born in Nigeria. It's
Mhm.
tropical country, and I
Yeah.
Yeah.
came over here. I went to school in California, so I didn't like cold at all. And we went down to Cleveland, and I remember fumbling the ball two times in a row. And Marty says, "Go on the sideline, just come off the field." And I was so happy to do that and go and warm myself off. But no, I hate cold weathers. But when I play, I don't get tired in the cold as a running back.
Yeah.
Back
You
then when
can't
I was running the
overheat.
ball over 30 times a game, I mean, the cold weather is awesome because I can just run forever.
That's awesome. That's
You
cool.
kind of want to run more to stay warm, don't you?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Well,
give me a couple
yeah,
30-yard runs. Let me get my temp back up.
yeah.
Um, so do you have, I'm sure you're taking the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl. Who do you have them facing in the Super Bowl? And do you think the Chiefs are going to three-peat? Are they going to get it done, make history?
I think they're going to play the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
You're going to see a repeat of two
2 years
Super Bowls they
ago.
were. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's going to be the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to make it because of their running game, and they don't
Yeah.
step away from their running game
Yep.
like the other teams do. So I trust that they will make it. And we have to go by the Bills first to make the Super Bowl. They are a very good team. Josh
They
They
are.
Allen
really
is just
are.
incredible.
Yeah.
So we have to go past him in order to get there.
Yeah.
Well, so
It's going to
far,
be
Josh
fun.
Allen has lost to the Chiefs three times in the postseason. So
Yeah.
we've
He's
Yes.
we've
beat
seen
him in
this
the
before.
regular season. Can't beat him
And
in the playoffs. That's the big test.
the Bills feel a little different this year. I love Josh Allen. I have nothing against the Chiefs, but I'm kind of pulling for the Bills. Like it feels right this year. I picked them to win this past weekend.
That was a good
Alex and Hugh Jackson picked the Ravens, and I had that one right. But
pick.
I got a feeling. So I mean, whoever wins, I just want a good matchup, and I feel like the AFC will win the Super Bowl, regardless of who goes of the four teams.
Yeah.
But the Commanders have been so surprising. This rookie quarterback,
Oh
first
my
quarter,
goodness. Yeah.
first
Yeah.
I
rookie.
mean, don't be surprised. You might light it up next
Yeah.
weekend. He's very good.
That's it's awesome to see the Commanders back and competing. They haven't been in a conference championship in so long, so it's easy to root for them.
Yeah.
Um, Christian, what are you up to these days? Do you have anything to plug? What are you doing? Staying busy?
I'm doing a lot. I have my foundation, the Christian Okoye Foundation, and we do several events. One event is coming up this Saturday. We host a 5K run every
Nice.
year in January to raise money for all the things that we do with kids. And then in Kansas
Awesome.
City, I do two events. I honor one of my teammates every year, the last Sunday in April, which also raises money. And then first Saturday in December, we take a bunch of kids Christmas shopping. This last December, we took about 218 kids. I like to get that up to 500 kids. We give them $200 each to go to
Yeah,
Dick's Sporting Goods and buy whatever they want. So,
that's so
uh,
cool.
That's
yeah,
amazing. As a kid who grew up without a lot of money and was, a recipient of a lot of charity programs, thank you so much for what you're doing because it is so
Yeah,
hard, especially around the holidays, to
yes,
be one of those children who doesn't, I mean, it wasn't hundreds of presents for each kid. Like it wasn't those
Yeah.
ridiculous Christmases. So I appreciate anyone who prioritizes taking care of kids, especially around the holidays. I also saw you are part of the ownership team of the Kansas City Goats. For somebody who's not a fan of cold weather, you sure like Kansas City.
I know. I love Kansas City. I only play for the Chiefs again. So, I love Kansas City. I love Chiefs fans. And I love going back over there. I go to every home game, of course, and some away
Nice.
games. Yeah, I love Kansas City. And the GOAT are just one of those things. Last year was the first year. And then this year will be the second year. Um,
Nice.
we're enjoying it.
Well, it's
Awesome.
great
Sounds
to
like a
have
ton
you.
of fun.
Yeah, great to have you on, Christian. Great to see you're doing well and giving back to the community. Great to talk with a Chiefs Hall of Famer, a legend, and can't wait to continue watching your Chiefs in the playoffs, see how they do, see if they can make history. But it was an honor having you on the show, Christian, and we'd love to have you back on down the road.
Sure thing. And if anybody listening that want to see what I'm up to these days, they can go to christianokoye.com. That's my website, and they can find that out.
Awesome.
So go Chiefs!
Hell yeah.
We'll post a link of your website in the podcast episode so people can click through and keep an eye on you.
All
Yeah,
right. Thank you, my
100%.
friend. Thank you.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and peace out.